poetry.
Yeah. Yeah, I prefer the poetry.
I love how you threw your voice like that, Mr. McCarthy.
Oh my God, look how
That was
oh,
awesome.
I get a picture of you both.
That was really awesome.
And our pointy mouth. Ridiculous.
Yeah, we're getting, before anybody slips off, we're doing a group shot.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh, should we do it now?
No.
Wait. Okay.
Actually, now would make sense because somebody always slips out early.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Where's Tom? Maybe
Thomas is good at taking photos.
Pick one.
Yeah.
I'm not good at hurting people.
It's paradise.
Oh my gosh, how many years? Wait, let me see. Let me see that.
Well, I had to for the occasion.
Such a long time.
My favorite chord. Where's Lucy?
Thank you. Oh, Lucy is as well.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Yeah, but we can give it to her. My mom and her friend's mom can give it to Lucy
cool.
in your name.
I will. Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Wait now. I'm getting discombobulated. Oh, yay. Yay. Yay, thank you. Did you sign it?
Oh, wait, you know what? I didn't sign it. I signed the card, but let me sign. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I'm going to text you. You don't have to start.
No. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Woohoo!
How do you know each other?
With my friend Amara Hicks from years ago.
Yeah, we did that thing. You're doing too much homework. I did a couple of things. I got points here where you can.
There's a seat here.
You're okay?
Ooh. You're welcome. And
It's coming out like 2 weeks. In 2 weeks. Yes. Oh,
you.
Here we go. Tiny, tiny book. I love the size.
I love a little book.
Yeah, I love that too.
It's beautiful. That is nice. Oh my God, I can't
I put them
In my book, this is coming out into October. That Freedom Mattel gave an earlier version.
Okay, now what should I do then?
that is fine. Yeah, this Colossus is called Colossus Freedom. So is it only open to Israeli folks? Or? No, it's open to anybody. Actually now in the whole world because we've had people submit from Italy and the Philippines and just amazing places. How do I find out about the calls? I will add you to our mailing list, and then I know you'll get the call, but they go out to like Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that.
Lousy at social media, so you're.
And I signed. Would you like to sign up for the open card?
Oh,
Yes, thank you.
Right.
Oh, there's an open mic? Yeah, we have space for about 5 people. Okay. I'll tell you what, I'll pass this around, and if there's less than 5, then I'll
prose and poetry.
Okay.
People try to turn me out of over, so
Yeah, right.
is there anyone else who would like to
Not brave enough tonight.
the bios there. Wait, should it be like this? There's no music, right?
Nope. I mean, unless somebody wants to put on it.
Yeah, we got somebody here.
All right. Could be. No harm in a little music.
It's not really hard. Is it okay if we scooch this just a slight bit? Yeah, that'd be perfect. So it doesn't block. And that way, for everybody reading off their phones, you can put it right on top of the paper. It won't clang, and it'll stay in place. And you don't need to hold it if you just wanted to scroll through and read. She laughs. She got paper.
Okay, then that looks like this thing is ready to roll. So we will adjust the height of this mic for whoever's reading. So if it's not in a good spot, pause a minute and get our attention. We'll fix it. But it also picks up from a little distance. I don't really think that while you're reading you have to wear your mask. Probably. There's pretty good ventilation come from the back. It's pretty wide open. There's a pretty good distance. Okay. But it's up to you. Absolutely protect yourself. So I'm very happy to have you all here. I don't have any elaborate introduction except that I know we're welcoming Kathryn Takara to be our special guest for the reading tonight. Courtesy, I'd say courtesy of Karla Brundage, but she's kind of courtesy of you. So it's a mutual thing across influence. Yeah. So anyway, we're happy to have you. 5 readers tonight. Lucille Langday was going to be. She's actually the one that proposed this reading to me. She was going to be here as part of the reading, but she's not feeling well and can't make it, and we really regret that. But you all will just have to do 1/5 better or 1/6 better or something. So it's all upon you now. Okay, so I'm going to get out of the way. Karla Brundage is going to come up and take it away. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Larry. Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you for coming. I'm so honored to be here tonight with all these amazing poets and all of you in the audience. Thank you so much to Eric and Bird and Beckett. Oh, I can take this off. Thank you so much to Eric and Bird and Beckett. I think he said he has like 18 readings in the next couple of weeks, so always support bookstores and support them, and I will as well too. So I'm going to be I'm going to be like the warm-up, the mic warm-up tonight before we get into our main event. And so I was lucky enough to be able to be in Tennessee for the past couple of weeks at Sundress Farms, and I was living in a very rural area of Tennessee that I had never been to, and there were these beautiful trees, oak trees. So I seem like I'm from Oakland. There's always oaks around me. And I lived in a little one-room cabin that used to be a chicken coop, and I was using an outhouse. And so I wrote a few poems, which I'm going to share with you about that experience. And I'm going to start with one that I wrote for my dad, who introduced me to the concept of outhouse. It's called Outhouse King for my father. You're the king of outhouses, yours with crescent moon, with joyous stepping stones. I can talk to red anthuriums, relaxed to scent of white ginger. This forbidden outhouse here, on cliff downwards, dirty with a crushed spider on treacherous path. My father, how I miss you, your strong arms, the twinkle in your blue eyes, the kindness of your regard when looking at me. Your old typewriters, family photos on dusty wall, ancient editions collected to sell. How I disregarded all your dreams. The arrogance of the young is not kind, but it's necessary. Oh, how I miss those hot baths on the porch in a large metal tub, your hands that lifted large buckets of water to the wood stove, the bamboo forest and shoots, alfalfa spouts, bursts of rain, the 12-volt bulb salvaged from a red pickup truck taillight. This illuminated our nightly reading time. I love how you could still fix your truck and solar panels, even with dementia. I cherished painting the kitchen floor together using the painting pole as a cane. Taking your walker with the bicycle basket out into the tall grass to change the propane tanks. Oh, you had to die that I might fully live. Is that not the way of nature? Now, as I continue to refuse to die, who might live after me? Thank you. I have two more. I have a friend who told me before I left that his father was from Alcoa, which is where I landed in the airplane. And as Black people growing up in the South, you know, I didn't grow up in the South, but my mother, who you'll be hearing from later, did. And I don't really know what that's like, but I had this imagination based on a writing workshop I recently was in where it was actually Kimi's workshop where she was asking us to use sounds. So this is an imaginative poem written for my father's imaginative father, who I never met in the South. Alcoa. Green of green lush, hush, of trees ancestors hush, smoky mountain path in misty range, miners hunting hush. Black gold are we haunted, hunting us hush. Rippling river, Tennessee, bounty movement rush hush. Bird shot, called light, calling moonlight, warning thrush, mountain hush. I felt a rustling, breeze right by me, breathe, mouth tight, shush. Hunter, hunting, hunted, heard, heard, wind will whisper, hush. And my final poem, I wrote, swimming in the Tennessee River, and I saw a water moccasin. Oh, it doesn't seem to be here. That is funny. That's okay. No, I'm going to read this poem that I wrote because while I was there, Ma did a writing workshop that I went to virtually in like the 95-degree weather. And so I wrote this poem by Ma's prompt. So this is called Iris Wisdom, which was writing about a flower and positivity, right? Yes. So this is it. This is my last one. I don't know where the other one went, but I'm supposed to read this one. Iris Wisdom. If I choose, I can ignore how you did not take my hand under that amethyst sky. That evening in Monterey, how I extended my plum-softened heart. Our feet stepped cautiously on cobbled path. A carnivorous crane stood tensely eyeing our progress. My arms lingered open, lilac palm up, and you heliotrope skipping stones into violet ocean. Breathe steady, waiting for the electrical connection of souls through palms. Later that week, I attended Romeo and Juliet, where palms do kiss as lovers do, and my thoughts flit to that moment. Thank you. Now I'm like, where did my other poem go? What happened to it? I'm so happy my mom is visiting from out of town, and her name, Kathryn Waddell Takara, PhD, is number one, a mom and a very big inspiration in my life, but she's also a Renaissance woman. She is a recipient of many prestigious awards, including 2 Fulbrights, which allowed her to travel to China and France, the 2016 NAACP Lifetime Achievement Award, and the 2020 History Makers Award to Outstanding Black Americans. She has served the public through years of teaching and transforming people through Black literature, culture, and history. She's coordinated several seminal national conferences at the University of Hawaii, where she retired after 31 years, and has been a 7-time lecturer in China. She's been featured at speaking events locally, nationally, and internationally. Since 2009, she supported emerging writers as editor and publisher of her own press, Pacific Raven, LLC. She's active with the Links, and she's authored 11 books, including the American Book Award winner, Pacific Raven, Hawaii Poems. She has several books here for sale tonight, and her newest book, where she'll be reading tonight, is called Seasons in Haiku. And and they are all newly available on her website, pacificravenpress.co. So let's welcome Kathryn Takara.
I think I can take this off. Hi, everybody. It's so nice to be in San Francisco, in Oakland, and the Bay Area with this horrible, dreadful COVID. I was stuck, and I'm one who loves to travel anywhere and adventure and write. So this is my second trip on the road, I guess for 2.5 years. And I'm just feeling a well of joy and gratitude. I'm going to start out, I'm going to read haiku predominantly, or, really, but I had a couple of things that I wanted to share with you to give you a feel of me. This one is I Am a Poem. I am a poem becoming. My words rise on the surf of nature's tides. The poem grows, a bellflower, a tambourine, a drum, a flute, a zither, a balafon. Rhythms propel to soar. I transform like a phoenix into sun rays and moonbeams dropped from life's flames. Poetic words radiate like new leaves in a forest of clouds. I am a poem becoming. Thank you. You can just hold your applause, but I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I grew up in Alabama and Jim Crow and all of that stuff, and it was very hard. And although I was in a college community of Tuskegee, which was safe and inspiring and intellectual, there were boundaries of all sorts all around, which I won't go into details, but I will read you this poem. It's called Magnolias and Memories. She walks out, leaving the smell of collard greens, pork chops simmering in bacon grease, onions, steaming rice, past the lanky dogs, hungry for hunting possum, the smell of gunfire. She walks out, past the gate, across the spread of corn, deceptively dry, seductive to a summer wind, a spark, a fire caused by lethal Alabama lightning. She walks beyond the homestead, slips under the barbed wire fence, across the neighbor's cotton field, down the soft slope by the creek, mindful of bullwhip snakes, thorns, water moccasins, sunning to sinister silence. She passes surreptitiously on toward the giant magnolia tree, whose large viridian leaves absorb her memory, whose magnificent flowers soothe her wrinkled confusion. She is called Daisy, cinnamon brown homegirl in a gallery of southern colors, white magnolias, sweet as burning flesh after a lynching. Tear green pine trees with a smell sharp as turpentine. She moves cautiously, cradling searing memories, flash forest fires, dying fields, dusty brown roads, unpredictable serpents, fearless and fast as lightning, Alabama sky, blue witness of countless, unspoken, color-inspired terrors. She walks on to a destiny beyond Dixie, beyond the racial creed, beyond the greens, pork chops, possum, fireflies, jagged edges. But memories stick like thick molasses, memories of sweet magnolias and lurking fears. Okay, so that's a little bit of where I came from. And then I went to school on the East Coast and study in France and Berkeley, MA in French, and then to Hawaii in 1968, just at the height of everything going on in the Berkeley and Oakland. And I stayed. It's been 52, 53, 54 years. My math is terrible, but yeah. And then the East opened up for me, and I started to go that way and expand my horizons even more. So we'll go into Seasons in Haiku. It's my latest book. My graphics designer did a great job on the cover, and there are 4 adorable pictures inside to represent the 4 seasons, and that's how I broke it down in a very typical way. And as everyone knows what haiku is, it's the form 5-7-5 and kind of goes from something specific to something interconnected, I guess you could say, in a way. So I'm going to read from the spring section first, and then I will intersperse it with another kind of a little bit longer poem, and I'll do that. Traces. Footprints on the grass. Enlightened path reveals cliffs, ladders to be climbed. Remembering spring. Lilac bush stretches tall to fragrant sun-filled deck, bursting jubilance. I live in the countryside on Oahu, out by the Polynesian Cultural Center, for any of you that have visited the islands. And so I get to be in nature a lot. We have a fairly large property, and many chickens and butterflies and animals around. I'm not a farmer, but I am a gardener, and I do love orchids. And I do grow vegetables. Soft. Sudden burst of hope from chrysalis of wonder, soft butterfly wings. Spring feeling. Beauty and danger. Slippery grotto. Late spring orchids bloom nearby. Centipede slithers. They have nasty bites. Yes, they do. Okay, wait, let me make sure I'm still in my spring section. I am. I've been a student of Gurdjieff and Ouspensky since 1972, so sometimes their ideas find their way into my work since it reflects my being and my search for the miraculous, I guess we could say. Celestial influences. Luminescent moon, bejeweled lavender sky, silvers, my brown skin. Uh-huh. Just want to make sure. I marked a bunch of them, but I didn't mark the separation of the spring, summer. The titles of the sections are Spring Songs, Summer Shimmer, Autumn Shadows, and Winter Sojourn. So that last one, actually, Clinging. Did I read Clinging? It's in the Shimmer section. Okay. In Banana Stands, liana vines tease tall trees, grasping, holding on. Okay, I'm going to skip a minute, give you something else. This is from my book called Love Seasons, and actually it is one of my favorites because I not only am a nature or eco-poet, but I am also a love poet, as well as many other things. Okay. Moon rituals. Women. Woman. Collecting flowers, planting seeds for a creative service in now. Harvesting herbs and beauty, perennial moon rituals. Woman walking, going to the sacred pool, gathering water in the gourd, harboring a thirst for knowing. Francophone woman drinks water, feels pain of unrequited love. She seizes air, moans, Le cœur m'enseigne. You make my heart bleed. Let go. Le cœur s'enseigne. He makes her heart bleed. Elle saigne à la lanterne parisienne. Whispers, no more blood, no more blood. Sagace the woman, shrewd and secretive. Elle cherche la sagesse. She seeks wisdom and freedom. Elle voyage. Elle apparaît at the Côte de Chine, gushes at the coast of Ardent. Lights saillit like fireworks, burning passion born anew. She prays for clear, bubbling love, dances breath, knows the power of now. Woman pauses at a new threshold, the Côte d'Ivoire, observes steadily, acts, reacts, speaks, discreet her words. No longer can you make my heart bleed. Woman knocks. Love's door opens. She heats at a loving touch, ripples fertile, hot and wet between the legs. She flashes, leaps, bounds. Woman slows down, looks and learns. Inner kings and queens consort. Hopes and fears meet to balance. She climbs up steep ledge of crystal courage. She envisions balance, strong rock, stable footing, bright path, and shimmering pride enhanced. She finds protection in trust. Journeys up and around experience of the still mountains. Woman grows with new discovery of ladders and levels. Woman appreciates, looks for the best in others, endures betrayal, accepts suffering deep, deep within her core. Woman nurtures, brings peace to the digested corners of her life, respects organic growth and patterns of lunar creation. Woman laughs with children. blows up a red balloon, ties off and sings, dances in circles around the trees, runs in the wind with a kite, conceives and births a clear space. Fresh rhythms feel growth and knowing. Woman strobes radiant, ever in search of the miraculous. She walks the pebbled path, strewn with light and love. Woman trips, stumbles, returns on her knees once again to find an empty page. Picks up her favorite pen. Woman writes. Moon rituals birth understanding. Woman smiles, whispers serendipitous words of experience. Only she can make her own heart bleed. Woman finally sleeps, fearless and free. Actually, you know, I never read that poem out loud, so thank you for going with me on that little journey there. Okay, so we'll go back to some haiku, and we'll go to the shimmer, back to the shimmer. And actually, you'll see later, it's a picture of a couple dancing. The first one in spring is a woman, or a girl, woman, dancing by herself. And this time, she is with a partner with butterflies around. Comfort. Tree mamas hover, branches protecting lovers from curious eyes. One of those outside things. Early wilt. Tiare flower loses white fragrance in heat. Afternoon conquers. Vibrations. Listen to nature. Hear her morphing symphony, changing hidden notes. I think I'm trying to read about 5 from each section. Evening hush. A silent wish breathes. Temple Lake unveiled in June. There, a golden koi. It's one of those ones I wrote in China. Calm. Breeze blows, calm ocean. Wave whispers, sing in wind pines. Eat, love, sleep deeply. And let's see. We have all of these, I don't know whether you call them feral roosters, but wild roosters and chickens. And they find places to lay their eggs. And no matter how hard we look for them, it's only occasionally that we find the nests and collect the eggs. Meanwhile, ever mama chicken with 10 babies or 6 babies or 5 or 4, occasionally only 2, peeping around, hiding. And so it's kind of a ritual. In the morning I get up and I check them. They know animals are smarter than we might think. Early morning foraging. Handsome red rooster promenades with 3 young hens seeking their breakfast. And there's this expression about roosters. No disrespect, guys, but a lot of times guys will puff themselves up and spread their arms wide and, you know, just kind of be the rooster. And I emanates a kind of strength or boldness or something. And then the hens follow. No matter what they do, the hens come. The roosters jump on the hens, and the hens squawk, and they come back for more. It's just quite amazing. Nature. Nature. Okay. Okay. Let's see. I want to do a couple of, one more kind of longer one, and then we'll do the rest of the haiku. That's how we'll do it. How to choose. My father lived to 98. He lived with us for 18 years in a side cottage. And he was quite the gentleman. He was a veterinarian. He was also a Buffalo Soldier. And so he said, when I got to be 70, I should be able to write and say what I want to say without worrying how other people will judge me or this, that, and the other. And so I will venture forth with my first raunchy poem. Karla hides her face. I know, mamas, you know, mamas. But anyway, growing up in Alabama, you know, women, especially on Sunday, they would wear their tight dresses and their beautiful big hats for church. And when I was in Côte d'Ivoire visiting Karla, the African women were also very comfortable with their bodies. It did not have to fit the Western model of, you know, everything in tight and in place. But there was kind of a celebration, and especially of the butts. They were always accentuating them in a way. And so I wrote this poem thinking about the ladies in Alabama, or the women, and in Côte d'Ivoire in particular. Sassy ass. She had a sassy ass. An ass with character. People waited and predicted. Men watched her grow, impatient to feel her sassiness, wanting to slide their fingers up and around, make music of it smooth like a trombone. Palm over the curve of it like a human chord, spank it and make it romp like a filly, take it to bed pantyless, work it up to African rhythms. Yes, indeed, she had a sassy ass, an ass with special character. Okay, and then I'll finish up with a few more haiku, and thank you for listening to me. This is a total joy. I'm moving on into the autumn section. I'll make sure that I'm in the right section. Autumn shadows. Cane spider. Large webless insect, migrant from plantation fields, jumps to surprise me. Okay. Dangerous beauty. African snail crawls, circles the collard green patch, drops meningitis. Falling. Flowers from the tree. Fading pink plumeria. Disconnected deaths. And caution. Glassy swells beckon, temptress of big waves, disguised, undercurrents strong. And the last one in this section, faded falling, faded green dying. Leaves blow brown across driveway, fall to burial. And in the last section, it's an older woman leading perhaps her grandchild here. And upstairs, spectral rains surprise, invade the upper locked room, uncovered secrets. Aged, old woman wanders. Whiskers camouflage her pain. Where is her family? These are kind of my winter poems. Morning toilette. Look in the mirror. New wrinkles, loosening skin, more creams, breaths stretching. Concentric. It takes a strong breeze to make the silent trees speak. Then bark shines with life. And I will close. Mystery. Belief in goodness. Hope perennial. A force. Blades of grass will grow. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's keep it going. Thank you. Oh my gosh. To have such a mother has been such a blessing and such an inspiration. Thanks a lot, Kathryn. That was really beautiful and really moving, and so many memories evoked. It was really wonderful to be able to help curate this reading along with Lucy, and I was thinking of different people and connections to Kathryn. So each person here, though are not maybe old friends, are connected to Kathryn in some artistic way. So the next person is Amos White. Amos is an American haiku poet, an author, producer, and activist, recognized for his vivid literary imagery and breathless poetic interpretations. He is awarded for his haiku poetry in the Wit Review and a finalist for the NPR National Cherry Blossom Haiku Contest in 2013. He is author of Sound and the Web, Haiku and Poetry on Facebook and Twitter, 2012. His works have appeared in the Wittenberg Review, Oakland Review, Bones Journal, Love is the Drug and Other Dark Poems, Sparkle and Blink, San Francisco Bayview, and many others listed here. An arts impresario, Amos founded and hosts the Heart of the Muse Creative Salon, Beyond Words, Jazz and Poetry Show, and the Oakland Haiku and Poetry Festival. Let's welcome Amos White.
Thank you so very much. And, oh, right. Gorgeous mic. Going home with me tonight. Thank you so very much. I'll get into back and forth. It's been really tough. My first reading out in 3 years tonight. So knocking off the rust. We'll see what we could do. Yeah, it's been difficult since the last administration to really find the sweet spot of joy from where haiku comes from, or what inspires haiku. But I do have a number that I can share. but I have been writing a lot of poetry, which is odd because I couldn't write poetry for almost over a decade. It's weird how you process things, but but we'll get into it. Ex post Obama. Can a man truly be free? Bees in the clover. Is a haiku, string of haiku. This one's actually titled. It's called Waiting on Harriet, Reflections on a $20 Bill. Harriet Tubman, her double-barreled gaze to freedom. Underground Railroad, no stomach for strange fruit cut down from trees. Always a river, under the sleeping cannon, the trail of blackbirds. A nickel shoe shine, the porter's cup of coffee. Coal dust melts fresh snow. Pews of oak and lace. On Artemis's birthday, a bow and arrows. Ain't I a woman? Sister Sojourner proclaimed, emancipated. March on Washington. Have we forgotten the gaze, dream of your dreamers? Hung on $1, portrait of a patriot, folded in my jeans. It's one of those poems titled. It's odd because my form of haiku, I just don't title them. So first line is the first line. But this is a poem. It's called Wokeness. Do not ponder. Center it. Let it sit like white-hot stone wedged between lung and spine. That coolness of air is not an apology nor recompense, but a privilege to draw breath. The clouds do not speak. No hand nor iron motor turns the wind today. Morning star, no other face for which I rise. Can I get an amen after this one? Post-depression. Counting my blessings on a timesheet.
Amen.
7:23. Passing wakeless over tide. Morning. Fairy. I. Fog upon Bay Bridge. Red paint ships on blue gesso, framed in my left view. Temple Bell. In midsummer storm, I too part the rain. For my friends of San Francisco, these poems of desire. Hardwood fills night air. Taxi turns another trick, walking to your bed. Flaxen, becoming nightfall. Stretching our skins, the knot pulls my leg. Independence Day. Within her eyes, fireflies jetting from a stick. Rising and falling, our love unleavened. This shimmering night, only mosquitoes to touch our glowing bodies. Reading the Bible, the prostitute and hipster share this Oakland rain. I'm going to close with two more. They go fast. First sake. I wash down this emptiness. Chopsticks. The faces of tourists. Second sake. Same as the first. I draw brown elephants. She refills the sake. Mound of shaved ginger. All the fish swim in the same tank. Stained chopsticks. The rice cools my temper. A full sake. I tip a business card. still life. If only I could paint this aroma of soy. After sushi. Still life. A puddle. Sheep dream in a clear blue sky. One breath. Again, I am. Cobra. I bow into mind. The swirl of cool air, the collapse of stars. Another first breath. Om. The mind untethers. Adrift, the hush uncoils me. Om. A thread of light. In the temples, the low hum of sunrise. Thank you. It is now my pleasure and honor to welcome to the stage and the microphone Maw Shein Win. Ma, his recent poetry book is Storage Unit for the Spirit House on Omnidon. It's nominated for the Northern California Book Awards in poetry, longlisted for the PEN America Open Book Award, and shortlisted for the California Independent Booksellers Alliance Gold Poppy Award for poetry. Ma's previous collections include Invisible Gifts on Manic D Press. Her chapbooks include Ruins of a Glittering Palace, SPA, and Score and Bone, I love, on Nomadic Press. She is the inaugural poet laureate of the city of El Cerrito in the glamorous East Bay of the Bay Area from 2016 to 2018. She often collaborates with incredible visual artists, musicians, and other writers and poets, and was a spring 2021 ARC Poetry Fellow at UC Berkeley. My friend and colleague, Maw Shein Win. Thank you.
going to take this off. Ooh, better. Thank you, Amos. And I just want to give a shout out to Eric and Bert and Beckett. Eric has been doing shows, hosting events here during this entire time, and I just want to like give him a hand for keeping it going. I think it's great. So thank you, Eric. It is such an honor to be here this evening in celebration of Kathryn's latest collection. This past spring, when I mentioned to Karla that I would be teaching a poetry workshop in Oahu, she said, well, then you definitely have to meet my mother. And Kathryn welcomed us to her lovely home in, okay, excuse my pronunciation, Ka'awa? Ka'awa. I kept saying that wrong. Thank you. We saw her beautiful garden filled with flowers and sat in her office surrounded by books and photos and art. And Tom and I remember when you read a poem for us from Shadow Dancing, Selling Survival in China, as it rained outside. And later, we helped put together Easter baskets in her kitchen, which was really fun. And Kathryn, you are truly an inspiring person, and I am happy to be here to celebrate you and your new book. So I'd actually like to begin by reading one of her poems from Shadow Dancing. Is that okay? Heat Wave at Midnight. A small, timid breeze tries to enter my flat at midnight, nudging gently. But it quickly retreats from the dragon of heat within. I toss and turn, but cannot sleep. You still stirring in my mind, a friendly poltergeist. You're welcome. And now I'd like to share some poems from Storage Unit for the Spirit House. Sky Space 1. The moon appears. Reversibility. Lucent coin. Pre-operational stage. Stand on platform after stepping from train of eyes. Stranger anxiety. Dazzling button. Imprinting. Silent platter. Secondary reinforcer. Lean against cement pillars. Postural control. Stare at sky through silvery natural domains. Skateboarder flips over sidewalk. Affectance motivation. Begin descent down escalator. Reunion behavior. Thank you. And this is called Sky Space 3. I look at the sky a lot. Sky Space 3. A limited edition. Annotated records for the researchers. Referred to footnotes about the survivors. How they lived, how they moved, how they breathed. Opened door and let sky inside. And this is entitled Theater in 3 Acts. Where are the minnows? Song of gongs in Mini Mall. What happens to the body after soliloquy? Mine in mottled fur coat. When does the future arrive? Birthmark on forehead in shape of flame. And this is the last poem in my book, and it's called Spirit House 6. Oh, and just to let you know, a NAT, N-A-T-S, is like an animus spirit in a certain sect of Buddhism. Spirit House 6. The gnats had moved into the house on Inya Lake, zoomed through halls with pocket knives, tamarind seeds, green bananas, family offerings of jade bracelets, cheroot cigars, deer tails. Medium danced wildly in the living room, drunk on palm wine, spinning, spinning. Orchestra of circle drums and copper bells played on the staircase. Natpwe. 8 children on the floorboards, leaping over uncles and cousins, shaking, shaking. Mother lit candles on the wall shrine. She spoke to the blue-winged insects. They whispered back. A gnat warmed itself by the flame. Auntie walked in a dream state. Hot room. Cousin slowly opened a large trunk of teak and silver strips. The gnats flew inside, one after the other, after the other. Thank you. And so now I'd like to end with some kind of newish poems. And I've been working on various letter and log pieces. And this is called Torsion Log. My right ovary, an egg desert, fortnight lily, petal armor, uterus, container of blood memory, left ovary, mourned bud, swallow painkillers, lean back in tub, one perfumed fibroid, rock melon, remove seed pods from cervix, bouquet effect, floating frond, an enigma in the canal, disorderly array of tissues, tendrils, blooms in dark. And so these 2 short pieces are about my blood pressure. So I had to keep a log of my blood pressure. So it's just like, okay, this really fits in with what I'm doing. So this is blood pressure log number 1. Nurse advises, use tea bag as gauze. Long for kind bones. Fuzz trapped in the hollow. Grunt crate. Blood pressure 127/86. Blood pressure log number 2. Popcorning on ether grid. Blood pressure 108/79. Clover scrim, bee hair. Sister whispers, avoid the cupcakes. A visit to Fallout Island. And this is my final piece, and it's entitled Letters from the Waiting Room. Dear H, I'm hanging out in the waiting room. I am blinking into another eye. Gold shades, sirens again. Seeing another city through the window of another's window. I live in a 2-second time lapse. Dear H, I knitted a quilt for you. Slivers of green lint throughout. Warmth in the waiting room now. My limbs are soft with pain. Slept last night with ears open. Noted the following: pollen drift, vessel crack, pillar bark. Dear H, missing your dry arms, crackling eyes, generous fountains. And this, you were standing on a dock, and next to you, a large trunk made of bone. Strangers began to gather. You sunk your hand and lifted a spinning plate from the trunk. Applause and more applause. Dear H, my cat visited me from the other world. She witnessed bliss busting from the pockets of houses open once again. Bright light from the storehouse. Tinny bell tones. She could smell the dirt from behind the shed. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. And now I have the pleasure of introducing Shizue Seigel. Shizue Seigel is a Japanese-American writer, visual artist, and director of Right Now, SF Bay, which supports writers and artists of color. Her extended family lost everything when they were incarcerated during World War II, and she grew up in segregated Baltimore, occupied Japan, and California's Skid Rows and sharecropping camps. She is a Jefferson Award winner, the recipient of multiple San Francisco Arts Commission artist grants, and a Vona Voices Fellow. She has written or edited 8 books, including Uncommon Ground, Living Creatively While BIPOC, coming in October. Let's give her a hand. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Oops. All right, sorry about that. I actually would like it down a little bit because I was looking at Maw, and it's like I could just see her head, and she didn't look like she had any shoulders. So, as short people, you know. Anyway, I am so honored to be here tonight. The readings have been wonderful. So thank you so much. And it's always wonderful to be here at Bird and Beckett. Eric is one of my heroes, too. So thank you very much, Eric. All right. So I'm going to read one long poem and then about 3 short ones. And if I start to run over, give me a heads up, Karla. Okay. I keep reading this poem because we're still in that place. So if some of you heard this one before. City Snapshots, Pandemic Spring. Time remains elusive. Sense and schedule, virus scattered, but meaning crystal clear. Earth and sky are calling us to remember who's in charge. Skies unload after winter drought upon a super bloom of spring. A wealth of Dudleya and acacia, native Californians and Australian imports flourish alongside a proliferation of tents, mushrooming as the world turns upside down and backwards. Celestial cycles, sorry, I forgot I can take this off. Celestial cycles grind on. Fallen Caesars and pharaohs, are they laughing now? Earth mounds and monoliths, pyramids and skyscrapers, humanity's been here before, too many times to know. How the mighty rise and fall, but the poor will endure. Can we bridge the salt of the earth to stars in our eyes, everlasting gold in the heart? In my neighborhood of stubborn weeds, did COVID arrive just in time to save us from total eradication, preserving the last of the grit from $1,000,000 scrubs of virgin olive oil, oatmeal, and sage, consumed by the pampered few who can afford to bathe their skins with what lesser folks could eat? Will the virus slow them down, like the bursting of .com1 or the '89 earthquake? Coastal fog used to be enough to keep away those who did not love this land. The fragile interface with sea and sky, sometimes unseen all summer long. Fog tendrils and micro droplets burst against our cheeks, reminding us like warning blasts and mournful bleats, signaling ships at sea and land lovers alike that we are all adrift on life, reality rising and falling, heaving and lulling by turns. There are no guarantees, only the invitation to risk. We are a hardy people. Buckwheat and sorrel, dandelion and succulents. Look down your nose at us. Indulge yourself out elsewhere with showy blooms and gourmet grazings. We are a plain people whose meager dollars sent a generation to college so they could look down on us too. Now they're learning something precious, something priceless. There are no guarantees, except death comes to all of us. Life reveals by how you rise to meet it. Across town, the Mission is deserted. Its streets and shops no longer a pulse of the city, a thready reed of profound connection, severed. How deeply one could love a stranger, a wordless bow from the heart, sharing for a moment, ancient stones calling, the earth's core turning, the wheel of stars across the sky. Who cannot taste the love in a plateau, a 20% tip returned as a double spoonful of beans? Today, a young woman, a shade lighter than cafe au lait, bleached dreads tied in a top knot with a stylish scarf, talks loudly into a cell phone? No, she argues with herself, with sharp yips and sudden jumps, as if to leap out of her own body, escape her own skin. I want to take her in my arms, calm her with my eyes, she who fears touch yet longs for it. Before I can reach her, she turns the corner and disappears. Another woman sits on the sidewalk, legs crossed as if in meditation, hooded head erect, searching for that peace she knows exists, but not today, not here on Mission Street. She's haloed by orange peels, discards, or a gift. A man towers over her, screeching like a banty rooster. Her neck shrinks down into her shoulders as he spits invective in Espanol. Does she understand? I wait until he walks away. Our eyes connect as I slip her a 5 rolled tight, so he won't notice she now has something more he can take. Her face is grimy, brown as the street, a darker shade than when she left Sri Lanka, Kerala. I wish I could tell her it'll be all right, but all I have left is a silent prayer. In the Tenderloin, a clot of homeless, shelter in place on a Medusa raft of sidewalk, side by side, huddling close, shielding each other from the disdain that kills as surely as virus. The Brits appropriated xenophobia along with Elgin marbles, but Peter, the Greek produce man in my neighborhood, lives by philoxena, love of strangers. Because of what the Nazis did in the mountains of his boyhood, he hires refugees from Salvador and Bosnia who suffuse his vegetables with fortitude and love. Fierce-eyed Alma folds conservative prayers into paper angels, while Cousin Lefty shrugs over politics and tells us when the figs are ripe. In the secret green heart of my stucco-rimmed block, willows sway in the salt air, and a riot of succulents shoots golden stars towards the sun. weeks of rampant glory before heads drop on withered stems. Native California survivors and hardy migrants, winter frost and summer drought. Thank you. This one is speaking to a lot of Asian Americans who still feel invisible, and it's dedicated to a relative of mine who was shot while on work leave from a Wyoming concentration camp in the 40s. Open season, no limit. Maybe you're not the enemy today, maybe yesterday, maybe tomorrow. Keep your head down and your bags packed. You are not white and never will be. No matter how good you are, and you are good, skilled, virtuous, with grades and credentials to prove. But maybe it's true you're only good for nothing, as your parents began to say when you began to think for yourself. But still, you are not white and never will be. You will forever and ever be an object of derision, contempt, competition, seduction. You will remain obscure and inscrutable, finding safety in invisibility, keeping cover so covert jeers and sneers never erupt into open laughter, open slaughter. So run the gauntlet of cruelty, channeled between twin lines of hate and fear. Rots of ruck, your crush writes in your yearbook. He sees only girls with hair blonde to their roots. You are not white and never will be. You will always be the one to do the work, with none of the credit, too small in all things, too yellow to matter, until you become the peril. But you are not black and never will be. You run no daily risk of being stopped while driving, shot for stopping, shot for running, shot for sleeping in your bed. You are no blackbird today. Maybe yesterday, maybe tomorrow. When are you going to stop running? So this one is about, where does all this hate and fear start? Kids will be kids, right? Tiny arrows. You tell yourself it doesn't matter, but it does. You tell yourself you're not hurt, but your heart splinters. You tell yourself you're not scared, but your gut twists. When did it all start? Who was the first to put gum in your hair? Kick the chair out from under you, prick your nape with jeers, stab your smile with dagger tongues. They screamed fear and pain into your face or slipped it to you silently, like a shiv, cut you off and cut you out, shredded what remained of hope and trust. But somewhere beneath the debris, your soul's intact. You can tell your enemies' memories to leave any time now. Any time now. Any time. Now. So, last one. Elegy for the Valley Now Silicon. The old ones drift away, petal by petal. Young ones drop like camellia heads in full flower. We used to gather for weddings and funerals. Now the cancha mainly tolls passages to death. Like moths drawn to a guttering candle, we flutter around the light of memory. The valley no longer awash in spring whites, fallowed fields entombed as parking lots. A brave new world away from mud scrapers, creaking windmills, banging screen doors. We won against the short-handled hoe. Roundup, bent backs over strawberry fields. Grandchildren graduated to cleaner jobs in sparkling malls, primed for another shooting. So thank you. So Karla, are you going to read some more?
No, but I will.
Can I read the introduction of you?
Oh,
Do you mind or?
No,
Yeah.
it's okay. It's okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Karla Brundage is absolutely amazing, and she has done so many things.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thanks so much. So we have a few more things that are going to happen tonight, but I wanted to give everyone 5 minutes, only 5, if you want to get some wine, use the bathroom. We're going to come back. Kathryn is going to read a poem by Lucy Lang Day, who wasn't here, and she's going to read one final poem of her own, and then we have a few people on the open mic. So please don't go, but I just wanted to give people like a 5-minute break. So I'll call you back in 5 minutes. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. we're going to get started in about a minute again. Does anyone have the open mic list? This is such a beautiful mic.
I know, it's the best I've ever
Yes, on mine.
It went with that.
Oh, okay.
I'm reading a completely new poem that I'm not even sure. I mean, it's Danish.
Maybe Cindy will have her work on that. So I'll do that when I work on Hillary Shepherd.
I know, that's not yet.
I'm ready when you are.
You don't remember my masochist, Laura, because it's been forever. And I can remember your name for a second, because I'm like, go play Bob on Space Bob. Bob. Like, I knew you were, but I was like, no, I'm not digging. Yes, yes. It's okay. Right, yes. Yes.
I'm ready whenever you are.
She's my close friend.
We've known each other forever.
My writing is not, even on word grant writing, it's not as inspired. It's not as good.
Okay. Oh, it's right there. Yeah.
I remember you from before. Yeah, nice to see you again. Thank you.
So I'm going to call up to the mic Kathryn Takara again. She will be reading a poem by Lucy Langday, who was unable to join us tonight. So, Kathryn, will you read Lucy's bio when you come up?
Yes.
Okay. And then we have a few open mic readers, and that will be closing us out. So thank you, everyone. Let's welcome Kathryn back up. Oh, my wine.
And the height of that mic might be okay, but straighten it out a little bit. It's addressed from the side, not from the top. Straighten it up. Just up and down. Yeah?
Good?
No, I mean just as a vertical. It doesn't want to be pointed towards it. Yeah, that's the way. Excellent. Thank you.
Oh, Karla, I need Lucy's.
Bio, it's right here.
Oh, yes, thank you. Okay, so this is the bio for my dear friend, Lucy Langday. She was a neighbor when I lived in the Bay Area between 80 and 82 on right off Piedmont Ave. Lucille Langday, is the author of 11 poetry collections, most recently Birds of San Pancho and other poems of place and Becoming an Ancestor. She is also the editor of Poetry and Science, Writing Our Way to Discovery, co-editor of Fire and Rain, Eco-Poetry of California, and Red Indian Road West, Native American Poetry from California, and author of 2 children's books and a memoir. Her many honors include the Blue Light Poetry Prize, 2 Penn Oakland Josephine Miles Literary Awards, the Joseph Henry Jackson Award, and 11 Pushcart nominations. She is founder and publisher of Scarlett Tanager Books. She really wanted to be here and read with the other writers. I mean, she really, really did. At Lake Tahoe, granite mountains, dense with white firs, lodgepole pines and ponderosas rise abruptly from the lake's blue bowl. so deep its waters could cover all of California and Nevada. The Washos, is that pronounced correctly? The Washos, who lived here 10,000 summers, named it Lake in the Sky because it reflected clouds, sunset, and stars. They caught lahontan trout in the lake, mountain whitefish in icy streams. On the other side of the continent, my Wampanoag ancestors were gathering cranberries, covering their summer homes with cattail mats, baking clams, drying corn, and finding fish for salmon off Cape Cod. The Washos used only fallen trees for homes. They would dismantle before leaving Lake in the Sky each winter. In fall, they gathered pine nuts to eat until spring. This was before white people came and cut down the pinyon pines to build their houses, dynamited the mountains in search of silver and gold, and claimed the fish. Now a paddle boat with 3 decks takes tourists on cruises of Lake Tahoe. Yet in summer, Washos still do the pine nut dance, and Wapanogs, shoot, forgive me, I'm not from this area, and Wampanogs do the cross dance to keep the world in balance and remind us that the earth is living, every rock is sacred, and every tree and salmon has a soul. Thank you, Lucy. Thank you, Lucy. And this is a book that was conceived by a poet friend of mine in China, and we wrote back and forth poetry together. And this one will be just my last poem, Visible and Invisible. Meet me in the jasmine garden. Under the long-leafed mango tree, we can sip tea together, write poems about Taiyi and other intersections, share impressions and essence. We can honor sky, water, fiery deserts, nurture the earth. We can dissect history, appreciate philosophy, ponder universal rivers, break the familiar sanctioned patterns, be mindful of the adventures with the desert swimmer, become fearless, falling, rising in a soulful sky. We can witness collusions of day and night, acknowledge the visible and invisible. Meet me in the garden, smell the mangoes, and delight. Thank you.
Thank you, all the poets for tonight. It was amazing. I'm super excited about our open mic. It's what I would call short and sweet. We have 3 fabulous people that I know all very well. So the first up to the mic is the amazing Sarah Beale. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Karla. This is a really new poem. So. Turning to salt. They won't give you an answer. They want you to hold their words on your tongue, make them a bed, sew them into your hem, feel the weight, slow suffocation with every step. They'll tell you not to look, that a backwards glance is sin's first twinge, a crescent ripe for waxing. They don't know your soft organs have already ventured out. Your feral heart runs barefoot, wind a tangled dare, a promise kissed behind your ear. Your brain has scaled their frozen prescriptions, skated the edges of their lockdown logic, inhabited the shadow with perfect pretense. Your body matches the sea, salt for salt, wakes when the moon rolls over in bed to shine and spill secrets in the gritty dawn. They say your past doesn't matter, but it's the wave that brought you here, the only compass that recognizes your voice in the doorway. Why not choose the world? It's here, pressed under your nails. It clings to you at every opportunity, an old familiarity deep as breath. You won't be disappointed. Look close. There's innocence in the spread of pale roots, possibility in the far-flung sigh of the train as it rushes into the heart of summer midnight. This is where you've always been going. Your voice has a natural drop, words like rain. It's okay not to understand, to slip along, to slide your hand into gravities and grin as you fall. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Yes, so each of our open mic poets will be featuring one poem for us, and I'm super excited to bring up next to the mic Paradise, who I've not seen in so long, and I'm so happy to see. So Paradise, woohoo! I think Paradise, you are my first Oakland poet friend.
Likewise, yeah.
Yeah, we are like 1990.
Oh my goddess. I love this place. Mad, crazy, wonderful with books. This is how a bookstore is supposed to look. Our men and our women.
Can you raise that mic for us?
Oh, I can do it.
I'm so proud to share with you my little children's book called Butter. And Butter was a worm that used to go around telling all the other worms that one day he was going to fly. And all the other worms laughed at Butter and called him crazy behind his back because they had never seen a worm fly. Well, one day, Butter disappeared for 30 days and 30 nights. And all he thought about, all he dreamed about, all he schemed about was this dream of one day flying. And one day, to his own amazement, he began to notice little bumps coming out of the side of his body. And they got longer and longer, and he remembered what he'd seen the birds do, so he began to flap his newfound wings, and he flapped them harder and harder until one day it happened. Butter was airborne. And all the other worms were looking up at Butter. They was like, Butter's like a god worm. Butter's like the king of worms. And Butter's like, nah, man. I'm just Butter. Flying. Have faith. Do as I do. And one day, you'll be able to fly too. And Butter, because he believed in himself and thought he could do what nobody else thought he could do, became the first butterfly in the history of the world.
Woo! Good job. Thank you.
The other way. There you go.
Okay, that man of many talents. Thank you so much. And our final poet tonight is Mr. Garrett Murphy. So welcome up, Garrett Murphy. Oh, up.
Maybe up a little bit.
Yes. That good?
That should be.
Yeah, I'm telling
This piece is called Hiding Places, Uvalde, Texas. Students and teachers in an elementary school hide unsuccessfully from a gunman while the lawmen, ordinarily ready to charge gung-ho in, decide to wait things out for a change. Not to mention looking the other way prior when concerns were raised about same gunman's behavior. Possibly they were too busy looking for a hiding place. The parents and loved ones beg for them to do something while shots ring out and the victims call for help. And when some of them tried to intervene, then the lawmen unleashed their inner ramble on them. The Texas Public Safety Director put it thus: the officers had weapons. The children had none. The officers had body armor. The children had none. The officers had training. The subject had none. Weapons, armor, and training make good to hide behind. 1 hour, 14 minutes, and 9 seconds later, law enforcement finally moved in. But of course, 21 by then were dead, 19 students and 2 teachers. Police climb up. DA hushes up, dodges questions, and refuses to elaborate, using her job for a hiding place. District Police council member does a disappearing act, devising his own hiding place. Claims no info can be released until investigation is complete. Families wait and wait and wait, got wrapped up when they tried to save their kin, then harassed and profiled afterwards by the very police, and are told to hush up, suck up, move on, tomorrow's another day. As if those usual lines are remote comfort for clans with eternally spare seats at their tables. One cannot help but wonder whether the pseudo-authorities would have been so hesitant to act preemptively or move more quickly when the incident was occurring, or the DA and other would-be leaders of the Uvalde jurisdiction would be acting so opaquely, had the 21 dead befit the Ghanaian definition of being from the Caucasus.
Thank you. All right. Woo! Yeah. Carl, two books for 20, one for 15.
Okay, I want to have a big round of applause for all of our poets tonight. Thank you also to Bird and Beckett and Eric. I know that we need to get out of here by we have a little bit of time, so if you want to socialize, definitely the authors have books. Kathryn has books, 1 for 15, 2 for 20. I know Shizue's books, Essential Truths, are up here. Please hang out, talk to each other, and then maybe we can help Eric put away the chairs. So thank you again, and have a great night. Thank you, Bird and Beckett.
You should be in the middle.
I'll get it. Yeah. Hold on.
Oh, low. Yeah, that's good.
It's an effect. There you go.
Special effects.
There we go. All right. You guys are gonna sing in 5-part harmony, and what's going on here?
Where should we go? Sure. No. You and Ma in the center. You guys. There you go. Karla and I are